A lot of people often ask me where the name Kaozbender came from, or what was the first game I ever played, or even what was my first online experience with video games. And while I would like to answer all of those questions as detailed as possible, there's never any chance to tell you the full story until now. Today, thanks to my 3-year anniversary of Let's Plays, I'll be telling you where the name Kaozbender came from, some of my experiences with consoles, handhelds, and the first games I ever played in that, and even some online game stories as well as YouTube stories that some people might not know, which are definitely kind of cool. Before we begin, however, there are 4 things that I want to mention. The first one, as you can see, the quality of this video obviously is not going to be as high. If you watched yesterday's Q&A video, I had some issues with my camera. It was overheating, and I really want it to be okay for an upcoming video that I have for you guys, which is my Let's Play guide, which I really want it to be like super good quality. So I am just using my laptop camera for now in order to record this video, obviously. So the quality is not going to be super high. However, you know, it's not as critical to have it, since this is more of a story time rather than just you know, it being you know, a high quality visual quality video. The second one is, as you can tell by the timer of this video, this is actually going to be a little bit long. I'm not only going to say where the name Kaozbender came from and how we got started on YouTube. This is from when I was 6 years old all the way up until today. So go ahead and grab your popcorn, your soda, whatever you want to drink, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. I am going to be really happy to tell you all about my you know, my history with games and YouTube. So I really want you to have fun as well. The third one is that I'm going to be talking about some games which could potentially be a little bit obscure. So I'm going to explain to you guys the basics of the story that I have for you, so you can understand. This includes like, you know, the game that I'm playing, if there was like any map or just any basic knowledge of the game that might not be super obvious, so you guys can understand the meaning behind the story and why I think it's potentially funny. Last but definitely not least, this video is an inspiration from a League of Legends YouTuber by the name of Gbay99. After watching his 1-hour-long video, which involved Runescape, and you guys know that I fucking love that game, you know, I thought it would be really cool to not only tell you about my Runescape story and the name Kaozbender, but also tell you other general things that you might potentially not know about me, especially for new subscribers. So without any further ado, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. It is going to be as fun for me to record, and yeah, this is you know, all of the story and the stories that I'm going to tell are obviously very special to me. I'm not going to go full in depth into every single topic, because this video will obviously be over, you know, like 3 hours long, or you know, even more if I do so. So I'm going to try to summarize everything as much as I can, or just as you know, as make it as detailed as possible so you guys can understand. So I really hope you enjoy this video, and let's begin. So my gaming career, or not really career actually, started when I was 6 years old. I've told this story in multiple of my videos as well as streams, but you know, I think it is a pretty nice start for the entirety of the video. I was 6 years old, and we were walking around the Sam's Club. Now, at this point in time, it wasn't really too common for kids my age to have video games, at least here in Mexico. So I never actually knew of the existence of any type of game. You know, at this point in time, I only played with like little cars, or you know, just whatever could entertain me. But nothing really electronic or video game related. So we were walking around the Sam's Club, me and my family. My sister was like, I was 6, my sister was 2 years old, so you know, she was being carried around. And we go through an aisle, or I think it was like at the very end of Sam's Club, and my dad sees a Nintendo 64, and he goes like, "Hey, have you seen this, you know, on the TV or you know, or anywhere else?" And I'm like, no, I've never. Oh, and by the way, obviously, everything that I'm telling you of what I said when I was 6 years old, it's kind of like paraphrasing shit. So, yeah, that's kind of a very logical point. So I'm like, no, I've never heard of anything like that. And he goes like, well, it has the game. I think it already came with a game. And he goes with, oh, well, it comes with a game and it looks pretty cool. Let's just go ahead and buy it and see what happens. So, thank you, Dad, for actually starting me in video games. If it wasn't for him, I don't know where I would have started my gaming career. But, it started when I was 6 years old. So we buy the Nintendo 64 and we go back home. My parents helped me set it up, and the first game that I ever played was Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Me being 6 years old, now I don't know any of the timing or releases for the movies. I'm pretty sure I already watched one of the Star Wars movies, so I was I was sort of relating the movie with the game. So I was like, well, I like the movie. This should be pretty cool. To my little surprise, it was actually a very unpleasing experience because obviously the game was in English, and me being a 6-year-old toddler, not even knowing, full Spanish even. Well, I could sort of communicate, but not at a intermediate level. I was just starting up. It was in English, and I had no idea what the manual said. I had no idea what the box of the game said. No idea what the game even said. The instructions that you had to do. So I was pretty puzzled, and it was a very bad experience. For those of you who know about the game Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, what I have really, really well engraved in my memory are the first couple of stages, for the simple fact that it came to a point where I could not pass it for the life of me, and I will be explaining this right now. So the first stage, you are flying on your little ship. I really have no clue what they're called. You're flying on your little ship, and you are destroying, I think they're called ATST, the walking things, and the huge four-legged robots, which are the sorry, Star Wars fans, I have not watched any Star Wars movies, which that is also a point to consider. I'm really sorry about that. So, first stage, you have to destroy little flying black robots, and also ATST, as well as the walking things. The second one, you were, I think it was Han Solo, or, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Han Solo. You were walking around the base, and you were killing stuff. That was pretty nice, but then, at the very end of it, you had to kill an ATST on your own, as a human. So, that fucking terrified me, and I was, super fucking scared of it. If you have played the game, you know what I'm talking about. The little door where you see it. I was like, walk, see him, shoot, and then, hide. It wasn't until later that I found that there was an invincibility pack, which actually helped me get through it. And the third one, I don't really know the order of the stages anymore. I haven't played the game in many years. There was a stage in which you had this little, hovering motorcycle and shit. That one was kind of cool to go through. I really liked ramming into all of them. But then it came to a stage where you were playing on the sewers, and I could not pass that. I never got through it. It wasn't until a couple of, actually months ago, that I saw the entirety of the game. And I was like, oh, the ending is pretty cool. So that's it. That's my first ever experience with the game. It was kind of unpleasing because I had no fucking idea what to do. Other two highlights that I would like to mention. I've also told the story multiple times in I think a couple of my videos or streams. Super Mario 64, I got it for Christmas, and the first stage, Bob-omb Battlefield, I think that's what it's called, I needed to call my mom to go through the chain chomp because I was so scared of that giant fucking chomping ball. And I was like, hey mom, come here. I got through the bridge. I'm like, thank you, that's it, you can go. So, yeah, that was pretty nice. And I think we can all relate to the eel on the Jolly Roger Bay, I think it's called. Since the render distance wasn't as great on the Nintendo 64, I was like swimming around all happy, and then when the eel was rendered into the camera, I was like, nope, and fuck that, dude. I mean, I never actually fucking did it. It wasn't until later that I was like, okay, fuck this shit. So I went, and I only saw that the eel, was swimming away, so I could enter into the ship. And those are kind of funny stories relating to that game. So that was pretty cool. And the third one has to do with The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Going through that game was super painful for the simple fact that I never, and I state never, passed I think it's called Jabu Jabu's Belly or some shit like that. To get the third spiritual stone, I think they're called. It was such a maze. You had to go into the under thing. There were like these columns and shit, and I was a super huge dumbass. I never actually got to figure out how to do it until years later when I got to finally beat the game. And I was like, man, I couldn't really get past this shit. I am pretty fucking stupid. So yeah, that was those are like my personal highlights of experience with my first ever console, the Nintendo 64. For my first handheld, it was the Game Boy Color, and this story is it's not super funny, but it's still something to highlight. So when I was around, this one I really don't know how old I was. Basically, my dad used to have this kind of a business in the U.S. I think we went to Texas to a place called McAllen or some shit like that. So during the summer, we got to stay there for the entirety of the vacations until we had to start school once again. So one day, my dad takes all of us. I think I was a little bit older. Maybe I was like in between 8 and 10. So my dad takes all of us to have some breakfast. And then we went to a business meeting. He was the only one entering. Me, my mom, and my sister went to walk around, and then we go back to the house that we were staying in, and we go through a Toys R Us. So my dad goes like, "Oh yeah, maybe we can find some toys." So everything that I have done gaming wise, I can blame my father. It's not really blame. But I obviously have to thank him for that. So we go through Toys R Us, and he was like, "Oh yeah, let's just go ahead and buy some toys." And we go in there. My sister buys some Barbie stuff I can't really give a shit about. And since I was already starting with the games, I'm like, well, let's just go through the game aisle and see what we find. And I was only looking around. I wasn't like really interested in anything special. And he grabs a Game Boy Color and goes like, "Oh yeah, this looks pretty cool. Do you want it?" I'm like, okay, sure. So fun story. The first one that I ever had was the pink one. Me being like 8 to 10 years old, I was like, oh my god, pink is for girls. If anyone sees me with this, I'm going to be kind of bullied. This is obviously 8-year-old mentality, so it's kind of bad. I'm like, pink or game, pink or game. So my gaming addiction, well, not really an addiction, was already high enough that I kind of needed to pick it up. So the first handheld game that I ever had was, what was it called? Game & Watch Gallery 2. It was a game where it was like a remake of the little black and white games where Mr. Watch was in, which was like a juggle, the cooking shit. But it was like a remake with Mario games. There was Parachute, where you had to rescue Toads, Yoshis, and Donkey Kong Jr.'s. You were Peach cooking around for Yoshi, and Mario and Luigi were the chefs throwing you the shit. There were just so many silly games that I really, really liked that. It was super, super cool. And that's, this is just kind of a little story with the consoles that I first had. Because I really, really don't want to make this video super long. The long part of it is about to come up. So that's it about my console experience, but now we jump into the online experience. And contrary to popular belief and what I have told you guys, RuneScape was not the first online game that I ever played. I have no clue how many of you guys have watched this or even played this. The first online game that I ever played was called Boom Bang. Now, it was looking back at it, I cannot stop and think, what was I thinking when I was playing this game? Because as you can see, I've had some background stuff for most of the stuff. So I go like, this is pretty fucking stupid. But back then, it was a shit. I don't remember how I found it. I think it was through a general minigame site, which was called, it was named in Spanish, but in reality, it was like minigames.com. It was like super general and shit. So what happens is that I go into that game and I go into the online because I'm like, this looks pretty cool. And I see this little cartoonish game that had silly looking characters. So I clicked it and I go to a page and I start playing. And just simply put, it's what you would see on a Facebook app today. It was it looked like a Flash game, but it wasn't like really Flash. It was like a social game where you had your character and you were going around islands. Trying to talk to people, give them a reputation. You could invite them drinks. You could give them kisses, flowers. You could do emotes, or you could pay. You could send an SMS, what the hell? A phone message or a call. So you could have what they were called the credits. So you could buy stuff to throw coconuts to people, or punch them out of the island. That was so fucking hilarious. But the most important thing, you could buy little bushes, trees, pets, all to customize your own island. And not to go a little bit further, but this is where I first learned you cannot trust anyone on the internet. But first, let me just give you a little bit of a backstory to it. Now, it asked me for a username, and I had never actually, input a username for any game whatsoever. It was for the games, if you had a record, I would put Sam, and that's pretty much it. So it asked me for a username, and I'm like, what could I be called? And I was wearing some headphones, and I'm like, I can't be headphones, so yeah, that's pretty much it. So my first ever name online was Headphone. And if it wasn't for one thing, today you guys would be calling me Headphone. If not for a very, very tragic story. And this is the first one. This is a really, really big. And this only proves that the things that you learn are only reinforced if it's a bad experience. So I already had spent what seemed like a huge fortune, with the credits. I only did like 4 calls, which was like $10. But for me, that was like a super expensive, back then, obviously. So what happened is that I already had bought multiple bushes. I had some trees, I have some pets. You could buy some tents, and inside of your own island, which was like a room for, 12 people, you could buy tents, so the size would increase. You could not only have the 12 people on your island, but you could also have like 10 in your tent. So that was one of the coolest items back then. So I already have my island all set up, and I am fixing stuff. And then a person comes into my island and goes like, "Oh, this is a pretty cool place. Hey, would you like?" Oh, by the way, whenever you sent a message, I think for like was it for like $1.50 or $2, you would get 1,000 credits, which actually bought you a lot. 10,000 credits for me was you were super rich. 1,000, yeah, 1,000 credits, you were like really cool. So this person comes into my island and says, "Hey, do you want 100,000 credits?" And I'm like, this can't be serious. You can't have that much cash. So I go like, "Hell yeah, I would like to." And he goes like, "Well, the process is pretty simple. All you have to do is go to your main page and change your email to, I don't know, just an example. Give me, free 100,000 credits at hotmail.com." And I'm like, "Oh my fucking god, this is awesome, dude. I can buy as many things as I can, throw as many coconuts as possible, and, just be super rich, and I'll be, just like this, swimming in pussy, and, everyone is going to adore me." I'm obviously not, super serious about this, but I was like, I'm basically going to be the Bill Gates of this game. So I changed my email, and he goes like, "Okay, now log out, and the credits will be given to you in about 10 minutes. They were the longest 10 minutes of my life. I was thinking all of the things that I was going to buy, all the things that I was going to do with my money, and the 10 minutes pass. I try to log in with my username and password, and you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know what comes next. So it says username or password is incorrect. I'm like, that's pretty strange. Alright, put it again. Headphone and my password. Incorrect. I'm like, alright, this is kind of weird. So I type key by key, really slowly, username and password. And whenever I saw that third, incorrect username or password, my world just fucking crashed and burned. I made another account, logged in, added my own username. The dude replied to my invitation, and he was like, "Thanks." And I'm like, "Dude, I'll give you whatever you want. Please give me my account back." I never heard of him again. Never, ever heard of him again. I was devastated. I have cried because of a movie. I have cried because injuries. But I never cried so much in my young life because of a video game. I remember very well my sister and my mom were in the same room. They were doing homework. I got off my chair. I flopped into the floor, started slamming it as hard as I could. And I was just crying my fucking eyeballs out. All of my cash, holy fucking shit. I was so devastated, you have no fucking idea. Now, at this point you might be like, "Wow, you're a fucking dumbass." But, remember I was like, I think I was like 13 or 12 years old, and, whenever you are that young, anything that you do is, pretty fucking stupid, or anything that makes you cry is pretty fucking stupid. So, yeah, that's basically the story on why you cannot trust anyone, and I mean anyone, on the internet. So, I'm actually thankful for that. I'm actually very thankful that happened, because now I know, and ever since that happened, I was like, I'm never trusting anyone again. If that never happened to me and I was older, you kind of get suspicious. This person is trying to get my details. I'm not going to do it. But whenever you are that young, you actually want to, there's a lot of expectations for, that type of thing. So I'm actually pretty glad that I got to experience that, because otherwise, it would not have been so engraved in my memory. I can still remember everything so good, and it was painful as fuck. So I'm pretty glad that happened. Anyway, that's pretty much it about the game. There are other things that happened in the game. I made other accounts, I made like some friends, but it's really not relevant. This is the only relevant part of it that I wanted to give you guys. Never trust anyone on the internet. And if that thing never happened, you guys, right now, today, you would be calling me Headphone to start with. What do I mean to start with? There were other 2 usernames that I used before the name Kaozbender. And this is where it gets kind of good. So, the Boom Bang stuff passes. There were, other games that I played that I focused on. And since that experience, I was like, the internet is a pretty bad place. I'm never fucking joining again. But then, things happened, and I was at school one day, and we were at computer class, or computer fucking, I think, I'll call it computer class, because it was like super general. There were some parts in which we opened up Word, we type up shit, we opened Excel, we opened up Paint. Oh, paint around, kids. So it was like very general. So one day, we were not doing anything, and we were done with our stuff. So one of my friends shows me a video game page called miniclip.com. And he shows me a little game of a rabbit shooting at balloons. And, it was alright. We played for like 20 minutes or so. And then, we got out of computer class. So I got home. And mind you, this is when I was 15 years old. I got home and I started to play the game. And then, while I was playing the game, there was an ad below the, this one I think it was a Flash game, so, that was pretty funny. There was an ad for a game called Runescape, and it had the head of a man and a goblin facing off, and I thought it was like really cool. I'm like, this looks all right. I should check it out, and I click on it. And it prompts me to another page, runescape.com. So I go in to create an account, and again, it asks me for my username and the password. So I'm like, all right, I don't want to be Headphone anymore because that caused me a lot of pain. What should I be called? And this is where you guys would be calling me something else that is not Kaozbender. So what happened is that days or weeks before this time, we were in history class, and you guys know I fucking hate history, but when the teacher was speaking, there was a word that caught my attention. We were learning about forgive me if I'm saying some stupid shit. I think we were learning about some U.S. history or, whatever. The only thing that I know is that it was in Mexico, so that's where it came from. The teacher was speaking, and I hear the word Westphalia. We were learning about the Westphalia law, that I don't fucking know what it was. I wasn't paying attention, I only heard the name, and I'm like, oh. So I opened up my book, or whatever we were at, and I started reading about that thing, because the name itself sounded pretty cool. Westphalia. That's an alright name, so I paid attention to the rest of the class, but not as much to remember what it was about, as you guys can tell. So, what happened is that I'm there, and I'm like, the name Westphalia really sounded pretty cool. So, let me just put it in. Westphalia, password, Sam123. And I'm like, this is going to be so cool. I click register, and the name Westphalia is already taken. So I'm like, what should I be called then? But I really like the name Westphalia, so I go into the suggested names below, and I see Westphalia 3. I'm like, alright, Westphalia 3 it is. So, 2 things happened in RuneScape that, if that didn't happen, you guys right now would be calling me either Headphone or Westphalia 3 or Westphalia 4. And this is the story behind it. So I entered with Westphalia 4, and me not knowing any English whatsoever, I was like barely, and I mean barely learning English back then. And, this was in 2005, so it was like, no, holy shit, I wasn't 15. Alright, okay. I opened up. Never mind, all of it. I wasn't 15 years old. This was in 2005, 10 years ago. Right now I would be 12, but I think I was 13. So I was 13 whenever I entered RuneScape, and 2005 I entered the name Westphalia 3. So being 13, I was, I think, in 3rd or 4th grade. And back then, the English class, from elementary school all the way to junior high, I went to a German-oriented school. So we learned the German all the way from kindergarten to high school, which I did not finish high school there. Rather, I went to another school for something that I'm going to tell you later on. So I was learning some really basic English, and I didn't know jack shit. So if you guys remember, if you have played any RuneScape in your life, you will remember this. Whenever you entered, the first thing you ever saw was Tutorial Island. So I was there next to the guy which gave you a basic introduction to the entire game, and since I didn't know any English whatsoever, I'm like, clicking every possible way, and I also thought it was like super cool that these 3D character models were walking around, and I wasn't reading anything, so I just click everywhere, and I could not go outside of one of the houses in which you start. So I'm like, God fucking damn it, this is so goddamn annoying. So I shit you not, I spent 30 minutes inside of the house, not able to do anything. I quit the game, and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty stupid. Like around the 2 or 3 days pass, and I'm like, all right, let's just go ahead and start from the beginning. And, tried one more time. RuneScape.com, make an account. I didn't want to start there because I thought the game was glitched or some shit like that. So what happened is I make another account called Westphalia 4, and again, you guys would be calling me Westphalia 4 if not for a very tragic event again. So I enter there, and I decide to take everything slowly, and behind the, I enter in the same place again, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, this cannot be. But I see people leaving the house, and I'm like, okay, there must be something that I'm doing wrong. So there was some dialogue that I saw from the guy who greeted you into Tutorial Island, and there was some blue text below it. I clicked it, and I saw that he was continuing to speak. So I'm like, okay, cool. Click, 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 and then he stops speaking, and an arrow starts pointing into the door. I'm like, oh fuck. So I click it, and I go outside of the house. I'm like, ooh, fuck yeah, dude! I am so fucking awesome. So what happened next is that you go through Tutorial Island first. You need to chop down a tree, then you need to light it, then another guide gives you a fishing net. You need to fish some shrimp, then you need to cook it, then you go a little bit below. You enter another house where you have to talk to a chef. Then the chef would give you a bucket of water and a pot of flour. You would mix it together to create some dough, and you needed to cook some bread. After you do it, you go, this is a part where I'm not like super sure of what happens next, but I'm pretty sure that after the cooking tutorial, you go down to the mines. The first thing that you have to do is talk to another guide, which gives you a pickaxe, and you need to mine some copper and tin ore. Once you have one of each, you go to the furnace, you melt them together, and you made a bar of bronze. So you go back to him, he gives you a hammer, and sorry, I'm just really getting into this. He gives you a hammer, and you need to create a bronze dagger. Not to make things a little bit longer, you would then go to the range. No. First, you would go to the. No, it's the same thing. You would go to the combat tutorial where a person would give you sword and a shield. You needed to kill some rats. Then you needed to do some ranging shit. And then you would go outside, learn about the bank, and do all about magic. And after you cleared the magic tutorial, you were put into the land of RuneScape. And when I first went into it, I'm like, what the hell do I do now? Now, I cannot remember the very, first thing that I did or anything, but I do remember a very, very tragic story which made a turning point into my username, history, I guess. I played around 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I don't even remember. And I think the thing that I focused on was fishing, cooking, and then wood cutting. And what happened is that by selling all of the things that I would have, I would train some combat, and my level came to be high enough to wear mithril armor. So I go and buy my full mithril. I only had the helmet, plate body, plate legs, sword, and a square shield. It was like super shitty armor. I didn't have any boots, any amulet, any cape, any gloves. So I was like kind of shitty. Now, this is where it all gets very sad. I go into Varrock, I don't really know how to pronounce that, and what happens next is that I go north, and there is an area where it was PvP. So if you enter that area, you were able to fight against other players. There's a fucking mosquito itch in my fucking arm. Anyway, sorry. That's why I'm gonna scratch throughout the video. So, not knowing this whatsoever, I would, I saw a little signal with a skull, and I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe you're able to kill some, cool monsters in here. So I checked that out. I enter, after a couple of minutes of walking, I see another person walking around. I'm like, oh, cool, maybe I'm going to tell him to go ahead and slay some monsters with me. And the person wearing bow and arrows starts attacking me. And at first I didn't know what was going on because I never actually PvP'd in my life. And eventually I typed as much as I could, telling him, "Yo, please stop, please stop." As I was running back, I was telling him, "Please, please stop." So he kills me, and I respawn with only 3 items left, and I'm like, "Oh my fucking god!" I was super depressed again. So I wasn't scammed, but I felt like it. And I'm like, oh my fucking god, what do I do? Fuck it, I'm gonna quit. I closed the game. I didn't want to know anything about the game for as much as I could. But you know how I am, I'm pretty weak, and whenever I fail at something, I cannot go with, this kind of a defeated look in my eyes. So I'm like, a couple of weeks pass, and I'm like, kind of bored, and I go like, well, let's just give it one more chance. And I opened Runescape once again. This time, I didn't want to be called Headphone, I didn't want to be called Westphalia. I knew that this username, I was going to be one of the best fucking players in the entire RuneScape world. That didn't happen. There was something like it, but I'm going to tell you later on. So I'm like, I really want to be this username that kind of inspires, maybe not terror, but that that if you see him, he's a fucking god. So, this is a story which you guys know. I was there sitting, and I'm like, what should I be called? My house layout is set up in a way where the computers were in a room, and the TV room was a little bit behind it. So, me being at the computer, I could turn around and watch what my sister was watching on the TV, as well as listen to it. So, what happened next is that she was watching Avatar the Airbender. And I'm like, okay, I can't use this. So, Avatar the Airbender, and he can control the air, Airbender. Okay, maybe I can be something, someone that bends, well, not really that bends something, that sounds pretty bad. Someone that controls something. And out of nowhere, I think of the word chaos, but I didn't want it to be, the right pronunciation, C-H-A-O-S. Back then when I was 13, I was like, oh yeah, let's spell something, in a really weird name. So, I think of the word chaos and Bender, but I didn't want to be, the word chaos is spelled spelled properly. So I go, okay, let's change C-H-A-O-S for K-A-O-Z. And ladies and gentlemen, that was where the name Kaozbender is from. RuneScape, third time charm. If not, you guys would be calling me either a headphone, Westphalia 3, or Westphalia 4. But no, all of that, I believe in destiny, all of that led to me being called Kaozbender. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was where the name came from. However, there are some other RuneScape stories that I would really like to tell you, because it is a game that I played from 2005 all the way to 2011, and it just drained so many hours of my life. It was, it is such a great part of my life. If I try to get back into the game, I can't, for the simple reason that it's not the same, and not the same thing that I remember, because it was such a huge part of my life. So these are a couple of stories. I'm only going to be telling, let's see, I have a list of stories right here. I'm going to tell you 3 stories regarding my RuneScape career. The first one, it was the first time that I was ever banned of an online game. And here's why. Playing the game a couple of months now, I was, pretty knowledgeable of, all of the skills. And I knew for a fact that I cannot go into the wilderness, which was called, where you could PvP with other people. Do not go into the wilderness, you motherfucking retarded bitch. That was like my number 1 rule. So I never went into it, and I had, pretty decent experience. So I was walking around one day, and I had, I was training ranging, which is you have obviously a bow and arrows, and you gain experience when you hit something. In other games, you get the experience whenever you kill something, but in RuneScape, whenever you were training combat, you get experience whenever you hit something. So I was training range with pretty expensive arrows, what would be back then. In RuneScape, whenever you drop something, you have around, I think it's in between 30 and 60 seconds. If you do not pick it up, other people can see it. Let's just say that you drop an expensive item, other people cannot see it, only you can see it, so you can, think again. So you have around 30 seconds to pick it up, otherwise people can see it. Whenever you train range, if you're not wearing a special type of equipment, which wasn't invented back then, all of your arrows would drop into the ground, but others would disappear because, you were obviously stabbing into the corpse of the person that you were, or, the creature that you were slaying. So I was training with some guards. This is pretty gruesome. You could kill the guards of the towns to get experience. So I was training range, and my arrows drop into the ground, and another person starts passing by. He walks back to me and picks up all of my arrows, which back then they were kind of expensive to me, so I'm like, fuck, dude, please give them back, motherfucker. So he goes like, no, but he was standing there teasing me about it, and I'm like, dude, please give them back. No. Okay, I already dropped them. Okay, then he walks back. Oh, no, these are mine, you fucking bitch. So, well, they didn't really say fucking bitch, but, this is just how I remember it. So another person walks by, and he's just standing there looking at all this drama. And I'm like, dude, give them back. Now, a little backstory with it. The company that makes the game is called Jagex. And I'm like, well, you know what? My uncle is a Jagex employee. So if you don't give them back, I will have you reported, and you're going to get your account deleted. So it looks like this was another impressionable little kid. I'm really sorry, sir. I am really sorry. Here are your arrows, and I will walk back. Please forgive me. So instead of dropping them, you could trade with other players. So he gives my arrows back, and he's like, dude, please, I am so sorry. This will never happen again, and I will never pick anything up, again whatsoever. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. And I have my arrows. You're not going to get reported, so that's fine. And one of the rules, one of the most severe punishable rules of the game, is that you cannot impersonate Jagex's staff, or you cannot seem like you know Jagex's staff. So it looks like this kid believed it, but the other person, all silent and vigilant, he was like, this cannot be acceptable. So I'm pretty sure that motherfucker reported me. And that was my first ever ban for trying to impersonate a Jagex employee. I was banned for 3 days, and I'm like, what the fuck do I even do? I was so bored. I couldn't do jack shit. I didn't want to start a new account. So I'm like, well, let's just go back and play my Nintendo. So that's just my first story of getting banned. And now I'm going to tell you another story of how I stole in the game. So, now, this obviously I don't encourage whatsoever, so you guys can potentially, not do this whatsoever, please. There was, if you guys know the game, let me see, I have 2 scamming stories, but the funniest one is this. You guys know the game Simon Says. Simon Says, touch your head, you touch your head. Touch your nose, you touch your nose, and if you do it, you're fucked. Because you didn't say Simon Says. You know how that works. However, I had a friend, and I'm like, okay, we're going to play Simon Says, but we're going to bet. And I was like, I grabbed my friend, and we were going around saying, playing Simon Says for money. I don't exactly remember how this played, but I knew that scamming was a punishable offense. So I'm like, let's play Simon Says with cash. I got my friend and another, let's just say 4 people or 5 follow me. We go into the highest point of a castle, and I go like, okay, everyone make a line. And, all of them, stood like straight, with their pixelated bodies like this. So all of them make a line, and I go like, okay, these are the rules. You had little emotes in the game. You could dance, do a little twirl, you could clap, bow, you could say yes, say no. There were all types of emotes. So I lined all of them up, and I go like, okay, we're going to play Simon Says with emotes. All of you guys are going to give me 10,000 coins, which back then was a lot. You're going to give me 10,000 coins, and we're going to play. The first person to get 3 points correct wins. So I am typing a private message to my friend. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to say is jump. There's an emote for a jump for joy where you go like, fuck yeah, or some shit like that. I'm going to go jump for joy. I'm going to put dance, and then I'm going to say bow. So he knows the order. However, the other people don't. So I type jump for joy, and my friend would be the first one to do it. I'm like, yes, you have 1 point, nice. And for it not to be too obvious, I told him, okay, this time, don't do it, I guess. It was something along those lines. Then I go like, whatever other emote, and, before every emote, I would tell him, so he was prepared, and for it not to look like so obvious. So I go like, yeah, do this, and this, whatever. So eventually, it was all set up so my friend could win, and let's just say that we got 60k cash. But the people were like, okay, this is pretty fun. This is a pretty easy way to win some cash with proper reflexes. So let's just go again. And with these 4 or 5 people, we had like, I shit you not, like 5 sessions where all of them, I have no fucking clue how people were so fucking dumb, but. It was like 5 sessions. Me and my friend made so much money from scamming people. It was so fucking hilarious. Now, the last RuneScape story, I know that this is around 50 minutes, so I'm going to be trying to hurry up a little bit. because I also have other 2 games to talk to you about, as well as my really brief YouTube story of good and bad things. So the last story that I'm going to tell you guys about RuneScape, which is my favorite one, it is my biggest video game achievement of all time in my personal life. So back then, there was a skill called cooking, and there was an update in which if you had the maximum level on a skill, you would get a cape, and you would get an emote doing the representative thing of that certain skill. The first cape I had was Untrim Cooking Cape. For those of you who know, that was one of the noobiest capes to get. In my personal opinion, it was the worst cape of all time because you could get it in like a matter of days. So it wasn't like super respectable. So I had it and I'm like, I need to trim this because other people were making fun of me too. I need to get another skill cape. What would be the coolest way to do it? So back then, in 2010, the most difficult skill to level up was a skill called rune crafting. Now, this really intimidated me, but I'm like, let's do it. I want 99 rune crafting. So this is one of the most sick stories that I have to say regarding video games, and this is obviously, I know there's people with a lot worse stories of how much time they have spent on a game, but this is basically it. So what happened was that I was working towards my 99 runecrafting cave, and what happened was that I was just basically I was level 54, and I used a method in which you would level up really fast, but you wouldn't really make a lot of money. So once you reach level 90, I think it was 92 or 94, there was a way in which you could shit out so much cash. It was both the most difficult skill to level up, and it was the skill that gave you the most amount of money if done properly. So obviously, I got to level 92 or 94, and I did this method in which you were able to make so much money you had no idea what to do with it. So, eventually I did get my 99 runecrafting. That's not the the best part. The best part is that I was aiming towards an item called a party hat. Now, party hats were the most expensive items in the entire game. They were an item given to players around. I don't know if it was 2000. It was one of the first ever items to get into the game on a holiday. It was a Christmas. Christmas. What the fuck? It was a Christmas event in which players could get a party hats. There were purple, red, yellow, white, blue, and I'm missing one color. Purple, red, yellow, white, blue, green party hat, yeah. So I was aiming towards a white party hat because my runecrafting cape was white, and I really wanted to make that match. So after getting 99 runecrafting, and by the way, a little backstory to this, the 99 skill, it was all about experience, and from level 1 to level 99, you had 13 million experience. However, getting to 92 was only half of it, with 6.5 million experience. So after 13 million experience, I shoot all the way to 25 million experience, no, 25, like 22 or 23 million experience, and the world in which I runecrafted the most was a kind of a Mexican server or something, and it was a part with low ping for Mexico. So I became, there was a dude who, since I was runecrafting, I always saw this person runecrafting back and forth. He was so fucking quick, I had no clue how he did it. His name was Soad1616. I think that stands for System of a Down or some shit like that, but Soad1616. I always looked up to him for being the fastest person to do the runecrafting of the entire world. World as in there were a number of worlds, and my world was 156, in which in one world there could be up to 2,000 people. So he was the fastest runecrafter of world 156. So my biggest personal best achievement, video game related, when I got to 23 million experience in runecrafting, I actually got good enough that I beat him. And going through the Grand Exchange, there were some places in which said, "Oh look, that's Kaozbender. That's the fastest runecrafter of world 156." I'm like, "Oh fuck! I can't believe this. I'm sort of famous." So yeah, that was like super fucking cool, dude. Not only that, he even said, "Hey, do you want to runecraft together?" I'm like, "Oh fuck yeah!" I always looked up to this person, and he wanted to make that stuff with me. That is as if today Chuck Conroy was like, "Hey dude, do you want to make a video together?" Fuck yeah. However, getting into the experience, the thing. Holy shit! What happened? Okay, no, I think we're good. About the experience, there were some high scores in Runescape for tracking your experience. There were around in between 1.5 and 1.8 million people registered on the runecrafting page. However, the lowest person, the person with the lowest amount of experience on the entire high scores was level 45 or something. That means that out of 1.8 million people registered on it, that was not the entirety of it. There were people with level 45 and under that did not even meet the expectations to go into the high scores. So one of my most proud video game achievements is out of all of those 100 out of those 1.5 to 1.7 million people on the runecrafting page score, with 22 or 23 million experience, I got to be number 700 of the entire world. Now, this is not world for 156. I mean the entire game. Of the world, I was person number 700. There were 699 people above me, and even more than 1.8 million people below me. And that was just basically one of my coolest video game feelings of all time. And later, in 2011, I quit. I sold my account for $200, and I used it on another game, which I'm going to talk about later on. Oh man, just talking about all of this makes it super cool. I hope you guys enjoyed my RuneScape stories. There's obviously that's not all. I'm going to be telling a lot of RuneScape stories on my streams, but so far that's just pretty much it. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. It is a game that holds a very dear place in my heart. It was so sick because there was one summer to get 99 runecrafting. I spent a month and a half playing 10 hours a day. 10 hours a day. I know that today there's people who play, for example, League of Legends 15 or 16 hours a day, and it's okay. Back then for me, playing 10 hours a day, every single day for a month and a half, that was super fucking sick for me. Thinking back then, it's like, yeah, that's pretty bad, but, it was the game. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the RuneScape stories, and right now these other stories that I have for you are not going to be as long. There's another online game that I played while I was in Green Bay. So when I got to Green Bay, it was like 1 or 2 months after that. One of my friends come along, and he shows us a game called Cabal Online: The Revolution of Action. Now, playing RuneScape, obviously, you see the quality of the game. And then after seeing that game, I'm like, holy fucking shit. I cannot believe it. This game looks fucking awesome. I'm going to try it. So I recently paid for like 6 months of membership in RuneScape. It was like $30 or so. And I basically wasted $30 because I started playing this game ASAP. So this is a, let me see, This is a Korean RPG, which most people know them as a pay-to-play game, and it is really a pay-to-play game. There were 6 classes in the game. You had a warrior, let me see, how do I order these? I'm just gonna go from areas. In one area, which was a kind of a tundra or like a snowy area, you had your warriors and your force shielders, both of which were a tank. On a desert area, you had the blader and a wizard. Those were like really cool, but I never got to play either. And then my personal favorite, on a jungle area, you had a force archer and a force shielder, force blader. Looking at the trailer, my personal favorite was an archer because you had a special in which you turned your bow into 2 guns and you could like, it was like really, really cool looking. Whenever I saw that trailer, I was like, dude, I need to play that. It looks fucking insane. So the first character I ever had was a force archer, and I got like kind of far into the game. I was like around level 100. No. I was like level 80 or 90 or so. Back then, I think the max level was like either 120 or 130 or so. Right now, the max level is like 180. I played it like a couple of months ago, but it obviously isn't the same. So my first one was a force archer, and it was like super cool. I mean, I got to go with my friends to. There were like some what you would call on World of Warcraft, for example, what you would call a raid. I would go with my friends and playing at school. It was one of the coolest things to ever fucking do. Later on, I made, the reason why I made another character was because there was a quest in which none of my friends could help me out, and I didn't really have a lot of contacts. So, in order to make a quest to get more skills, so you could become stronger, you had to go through one of the raids, but you had to collect little like coins that the monsters dropped, and it was really, really cool to just do all of that. But basically, I could never go through it because all of those monsters were like super fucking strong, and I could never fucking go through that quest. So playing a little bit, and then I kind of got bored because I didn't really have anything else to do. I did all of the quests, and then you had to beat this one quest that I could never beat. In order to get more quests. So I could never do it, and I stopped playing. But then I got to make a warrior, which was really, really cool. I really liked it. You were fucking unstoppable. You were such a tank, and you were so strong as well that a lot of people were. Warrior was considered top tier. I think the best character that you could have was a force blader, then a warrior, force shielder. And then people really liked a blader, mage, and I do admit that the force archer was the weakest one in the entire game. But I only played it because it looked really cool. So that was pretty much it. I played in Green Bay, then I came back to Mexico. I opened up the game and it says, "You cannot play here." I'm like, what? I just spent so many months of my life playing this game, and now I cannot log in. So I write a support ticket, and it turns out it's a game only dedicated to the United States and Europe. I'm like, dude, please, I need to play this game. I want to give you my cash, but I can't. And they're like, no, sorry, we can't make any excuses. I'm like, fuck you, motherfucking assholes. So later on, I got to get to on a Latin server, which was one of the dumbest mistakes of my life, because there was an online store which gave you in-game stuff. So I put like $100 or $150 into the game. I got to be so fucking filthy rich, but then I stopped playing for a little bit. A couple months later, I'm like, well, I kind of want to play this game again. I click it, and I could not enter the game. I'm like, what the hell? I go into the site to write a support ticket or whatever, saying that I cannot log into the game, and the site is nowhere to be found. I'm like, okay. So I Google, I think it was ESLAgames.com or some bullshit like that. I'm like, ESLA, Cabal Online, I cannot log in. And I saw some like forum boards and shit saying ESLA will be shutting down after I don't know what fucking happened. So I'm like, oh, cool. All of my cash went down the shitter. And this was not whenever I stopped playing RuneScape. I went back into RuneScape, but then I was like kind of bored of it, and yeah, it was kind of a bad experience. You know, then I deleted. I got to sell my account. So yeah, that's pretty much it about my online career. Now, if I want to include another online game, that would be League of Legends, but, it's so popular that, I personally don't find it super relevant. I can tell you one funny story about League of Legends. If you guys know or have played League of Legends, you know that how this is going to turn out. I was just recently being introduced to the game, and I was playing with my friends, and there is this one champion. They invite me, I accept, and it was ARAM, all random, all mid. And the champion that I get to play was Katarina. Now, if you guys haven't played League of Legends, let's just say that there are mages, tanks, attack, bruisers and shit. The champion that I got to play was Mage Assassin. You had to buy sort of magic items on her. But there is one important thing. I always based on the visual look of the champion to know what to buy. I looked at Katarina holding 2 daggers. I entered the game and I started buying swords. And it was like 20 minutes into the game, and my friends are like, dude, why are you doing no damage whatsoever? And they click on my items and they go like, wow, retarded, you do not build that on that champion. I'm like, well, I didn't fucking know. So, that's just a little story. After that, I got to see, okay, AD, AP champions, now I got it. So, that's just pretty much it. Now, I know this video has been long enough, but I want to tell you guys a couple more stories related to YouTube. Now, these are going to be a little bit more explained in the future because, this video has been long enough. So, I'm going to tell you 3 stories of good things that have happened to me on YouTube, and other 3 stories that involve trash talk. So, obviously the very first thing that happened to me was, making a channel, and with my Road to Paper Mario series, I got to, experience how it felt to have people looking at your videos and giving you feedback and relate to them because you like the same games. So, what happened is that one of my most pleasing experience was starting out because I saw that I had so much support doing it from people who love the Paper Mario franchise and all of this that I felt like, really great that I had a lot of friends on the internet that I could relate to because they know that they know and like the same things that I do. So it was, for me it was like really, really cool in my personal opinion. So, yeah, that's just one of my personal favorite parts. The second one was actually when I got partnered, and this I never really intended. I mean, I barely even knew that you could make any cash, but then from May to October, I got to build up my audience, and on October, I became a partner, and on November, I received my very first check, which I still have the email. I received $17.40, and I'm like, well, this is pretty cool. So I get to make money from playing games. This is a really nice extra incentive from all the other things that I already have, from making friends, get it to practice my English, playing the games that I love for you guys. So earning money is only cooler for me because, then I can buy better equipment, I can buy things for you guys, I can, just focus it on my channel. So I found that to be really cool. The next cool thing that happened to me was in between May and October. If you guys remember, back then, Nimbus was like super cool. Everyone tried to get on it. It was like super hype. And I see their partner Spotlight, not the partner, the Nimbus Spotlight, and I'm like, wow, this looks pretty cool. But I don't really think my videos are like, super great to be noticed. Without saying anything, one person leaves me a comment saying, oh, you should submit these to Nimbus. I'm like, okay, sounds pretty cool. So I submitted my episode I think it was episode 14 of my 1,000-Year Door series. And no, okay. The first one was an episode like Paper Mario 1,000-Year Door. You know, it was one of the earlier ones. I did not get featured. I tried again, and I'm like, well, if this doesn't happen, you know, I will, you know, kind of let it go, because maybe I don't want to be so annoying or insistent. So I submit another video, and this time I got featured, and I got like, at the time I had like 540 subscribers. So at the end of that day, and I remember I was in Cancun, you know, going out of vacation, and I took my computer only to see if, no, because I also needed to edit some stuff. If you guys remember that little outro that I had on 1,000-Year Door for whenever we were in Chapter 2, where I had like a little outro when I was on the beach, and I drew the, you know, next previews and all that shit. That was pretty cool. And I see it, that it got featured, and in one day, I think I gained like 30 or 40 subscribers, which for me, back then, it was like, holy fucking shit, mind blown. So, that is a pretty cool story that happened. Now, these 3 stories that come up that involve trash talk, I'm only going to summarize them, because I could literally sit down, speak for an hour or 2 hours about them. I am so fucking invested into trash talk, you guys. I fucking love it. I fucking love it. And I'm really sorry to get this attitude, but, you know, that's just who I am. So, let's just say that I'm only going to be summarizing these, and I'm going to be telling them on a later either video or stream. Actually, my 24-hour live stream seems really cool to tell these. But the first one, the mother of trash talk stories on my channel. I don't even need to say the name of the person for you guys to remember. It is the leech himself, Sonic Mario Team. This is a kid. For those of you who do not know Sonic Mario Team, go to my second channel and go to a playlist called SMT Archives, and you will see only a very, very small fraction, and I mean small fraction of what this kid has done to me in the past regarding identity theft, content copy stealing, and anything. This is a kid that went as far as making a Skype account, copied my IRL face, which at the time I didn't really show my face, you know, like, I think I only did it like once or twice. This is a kid who found my personal Twitter, well, which right now is, you know, my Kaozbender YT, but I had another Twitter for my ex-girlfriend, for some of my IRL friends, you know, that didn't really involve my videos. So this kid went out of his way to find my personal Twitter, copy an image where my face was, change his Skype name to Kaozbender, put his face in it, and talk to people as if he was me. This kid has gone above and beyond copying me to... Okay, if you make videos, or if you are thinking of making videos, okay, little mental exercise right here. Think of any and every single aspect of video making that you can have. This fucking kid has stolen every single possible aspect of video creation from me. Back then, there were like these channel backgrounds. He has copied channel backgrounds, banner backgrounds, profile pictures, thumbnails, series ideas, you know, my personal fucking, you know, pictures. He has gone as far as using my intro, my outro, my own insults, and you know, it's just fucking insane at how much of a dedicated leech a person has to be. I obviously tried to deal with this as many times as possible. I tried to be nice about it. I tried to be an asshole about it. I tried to ignore it. I tried to contact the RPM, which it was back then. But, you know, in the end, I figured out that you know, nothing could be done. And from December 2012 all the way up until, you know, he hasn't really ripped me off in like a couple of months. So, I would say the last time he ripped me off was around January of 2015. So let's just say that a little over 2 years, I had this fucking kid leeching on my ass. You know, again, like on yesterday's video, you have him like right here, and he's like, oh, just fucking leeching on your blood. Oh, get the fuck off me, faggot! Like, there was no, I shit you not, there was no fucking way of stopping this kid. You know, just of here on your fucking neck. Nothing could be done. So, you know, I eventually learned to live with it, and, you know, he had this moment where he didn't rip me off, then he started to rip me off once again. It was a fucking chaos. So, he is definitely a highlight of my YouTube career. I'll be making another video, and he will be included in it, but that's just pretty much it. The other story, this I'm only going to summarize really quickly, because it would take me so long to tell you about this. It's not even funny. Back then, if you remember, where we had the working YouTube private messages, I received a message from a guy called The Only Chew Jelly. His message went along the lines of, "Hey, fellow content creator, I see that you make videos and that you love Nintendo and Nintendo-related content, video games, and everything that involves. I am personally doing, I think I was doing a Kingdom Hearts Let's Play or some shit like that. Either that or Super Mario Sunshine. I am doing this Let's Play, and I would be so happy if you could check it out, because nowadays you cannot get an audience. This is the only way to do it." And I'm like, oh my fucking god, are you for real? So, back then I was super a huge hater of the spammers, and what I do is I copy his image, his text, and I changed it to look like what I'm doing. So, "Fellow content creator, I am doing Paper Mario Let's Plays. It would be so cool if you could check them out." The next thing that I know from this kid is like, "Ha ha ha, too funny, fucking idiot. You know that sarcasm isn't really gonna get you anywhere, so fuck you." I'm like, oh my fucking god, you just unleashed a beast. So, the only people who know about this are Bobbery and Craig. I actually got a person to quit YouTube because of trolling. Now, for those of you who don't know, I have like 20 YouTube accounts, and you know, this is for the sole purpose of, you know, just trolling, doing what I do, doing what I love, trolling people. So what happened is that I would get my 20 accounts, dislike all of his fucking videos, and leave. And I'm like, oh man, look at all the people that you have spammed. Isn't it kind of sad that people don't like this? Dude, you should look into maybe stop doing this. Maybe people don't like it. And he's like, oh my fucking god, you are the one who did it, you motherfucking faggot. And I'm like, no, I didn't really do it. And only to troll him, I would use all of those accounts to like my own videos. I don't do it anymore because it's, I mean, I think the last time I did it was on, I think it was on Fire Emblem, because that series was like super barren and sad. So I gave him like, you know, 10, 12 likes or so. You know, this is who I am. You know, I'm being honest with you guys. I obviously did it. And I would like my own videos, and I go like, oh man, look at that. People now are liking my videos because I am calling you out. Man, that must be really sad. And he goes like, oh no, fuck you, fuck you. So he keeps making videos. He keeps fucking turning the ratings off, the comments off. Whenever there were comments on, I would go like, wow, stop spamming me, you fucking retarded bitch. Not long after that, the dude stopped making videos. And then he closed his channel because of me. I know this is not something like super proud, something to be proud of, but, you know, still, I kind of enjoyed it. Then, out of nowhere, I find out that he has another account called Tonerilla or some shit like that. This has been the fucking most hilarious thing that I have ever experienced on fucking YouTube. You might think that I really like to make the YouTube money-grubbing whores, the day one Let's Play fucking whores. You might think that I like to make them angry. No. No. And you might think that I find joy into doing that, which I do. But I have never ever experienced more joy and fun from doing this. I find his other channel, he was starting out, and on his first video, he had like 300 thumbs up, but no comments. There were no fucking comments, and it had like 10,000 views, no comments. It's like, that's pretty weird. Somehow I find him. I leave a comment with my main account. Oh, look who we found today. I shit you not. I shit you not. Cross my fucking heart. Come back 10 minutes. 10 minutes to the same video. The video does not exist because the user related to it has removed his channel. I'm like, oh my fucking god, this is fucking amazing. This is, I shit. That is one of the most unexplainable feelings that I have ever had. Inspiring so much fear into one person. Oh, look who I found. Boom, closed. Fuck that shit. Never had most fun trolling anyone. And the last story that I want to tell you guys is about the money-grubbing horse. There have been around 2 times in which, you know who my target is, but, you know, lately it's like, you know, he wants to be a fucking whore, you know, whatever. So I'm not as, you know, invested into trolling him, but there have been 2 times in which I make fun of him. Okay, there was one time in which I personally called him out on Twitter and YouTube. He blocked me instantly on YouTube, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. Starts with a C, has a whore in between, and has 3 numbers at the end of his name. So I call him out on YouTube, he blocks me, I call him out on Twitter, I'm like, dude, so you don't like when people call you out? You're a fucking pussy. So he starts arguing back and forth with me, and he brings 2 of his lapdog fucking bitches literally sucking his dick. Oh no, he's not a fucking money-grubbing fucking whore. Hey, motherfucking retarded bitch, I'm talking to him, get the fuck out. Oh no, whatever. So, it is super fucking hilarious. There is a saying, you do not have to feed the troll. But this is exactly what these people were doing. It's like, holy fucking shit, this is amazing. And the second time, you know, the first one he blocked me, all of his lapdog, dick-sucking bitches blocked me, and later, when Sonic Lost World was released, I was like doing, you know, these jokes, oh yes, 1080p, 60 FPS, you know, 120 FPS, day 1 LP, fuck yeah, I am getting so much cash, and out of nowhere, I don't know who told him, but next thing you know, he unblocks me, goes like, oh, you have a huge fucking issue with people doing, you know, whatever they fucking want. And this is, you know, another thing. If you are not guilty, you shouldn't be so defensive about it. If people call me a fucking asshole, you know, I'm not gonna go like, no, I'm not an asshole, I'm a good person. I'm gonna tell you, I am an asshole whenever I need to be one. Yes, I am a fucking asshole, and I don't really give a shit to admit that. So, what this person was doing, I don't know who told him that I was, you know, doing this. He unblocks me. All of his lapdog, dick-sucking bitches unblock me, and I was receiving, you know, a shitstorm from like 4 Twitter accounts mainly, and then there was like another 5 or so of his dick-sucking fans, you know, the brainwashed, 1080p, 60 FPS, giveaways, visual quality, boring commentary, you know, like fucking zombies. You have those types of people attacking me as well. And I'm like, oh my fucking god, this is hilarious. So, my friends also helped me out with a trash talk, but I'm like, you know, if you want to help out, that's fine, but, you know, I can handle it on my own. None of these bitches were ever able to refute a single fucking thing that I said. The only thing that sort of hurt, that was kind of believable enough was that this fucking person was like, Sonic is my favorite franchise, and if it comes out in Europe, I will buy a European Wii U for it. And I'm like, yeah, but do you need to be a fucking whore about it? And do they want to pee whenever the game is not released on, you know, your region at all? No reply. No fucking reply. I'm like, yes, I am a fucking god. People cannot refute me, even though there's like 4 people shitstorming me, and there's like 10 fucking brainless fans hugging me like I'm like a fucking, how you call it, like I have my sword like slashing all their fucking brainless heads, like, oh, get the fuck out, bitches. So, none of them could refute me. All the things that they would say is like insults. Oh, fucking Mexican faggot, go mow my lawn. And I'm like, yeah, sure, that's what you say whenever you're scraping the bottom of the shit barrel of insults whenever you can't say jack shit. So, that's pretty much it. That's my YouTube good and trash talky shit. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me see. I don't really know how the lighting is going to be, but hopefully it's not like super bad. Otherwise, this whole video might not be the thing that I planned. But it was really enjoyable to make this video. I know that maybe most of you do not watch this video to the very end. If you do, say hello headphone, or hello Westphalia 3, or hello Westphalia 4. That would be pretty cool to know. I know some of you guys are going to watch until the end, maybe not in one sitting, but maybe in another way. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my whole story, gaming, online gaming related, and YouTube wise. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making this video, and hopefully you guys enjoyed as well. It was definitely one of my favorite videos to record. Basically, I really like telling you guys my stories, and I'll be going at PAX next year. If you guys find me, make sure come get me, and I'm gonna gather all of you guys. I'm gonna give you a hug, and then I'm gonna tell you all types of stories in real life. Because this is what I really like to do. So thank you very much for watching. The next video is going to be, I'm actually going to let's see, holy shit. I'm actually going to record my next video right now. Well, the next part of the video, actually. And it involves these little fucking bitches, which were a pain in the fucking ass to get. So, I'm going to record it, again, because I need some backup footage, because, since I am now full-time, working full-time, I don't really have as much time to record and shit, so I, need to pre-record a little bit. So, again, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow whenever we break down some of these silly bastards. So, I will see you guys then.